The headlines this morning: state government to commence drugs revolving fund in general hospitals. Governor Soludo's chief protocol Chinedu makes case for issue-based campaign ahead of 2023 elections. Nigeria Governors Forum laments over rising subsidy in petroleum products. On the foreign scene this morning, India ready to expand COVID vaccine booster dose as it reduces gap to 6 months. Now, before the news in detail, here is a special message. Governor Chukwuma Soludo has come for a total turnaround maintenance of the Anambra State economy and promotion of core Igbo values. Let's give him maximum support for the task ahead. Good morning to you and welcome to the news. I am Ebere Ugonna. Anambra State government has commenced the process of operating drug revolving fund in general hospitals to make drugs readily available and at a cheaper rate. The Commissioner for Health, Anambra State, Dr. Afam Obidike, disclosed this while defending the 2022 revised budget estimate of the ministry before the Anambra State House of Assembly Committee on Health at the House of Assembly complex in Awka. House of Assembly correspondent Chukwema Kamodelim reports.
They are at a cheaper rate, and we did pilot in 3 general hospitals.
Dr. Obidike emphasized that the project will also be extended to primary health care centers, and it will address the issue of drugs being out of stock as well as prevent maternal and infant mortality. The commissioner revealed that the present administration is recruiting health personnel to fill the gap created by lack of adequate human resources to meet the health needs of the people. He said that the state government has made provision for counterparts fund for partnership with World Health Organization, UNICEF, and other foreign donors in the area of health. He informed the committee that Soludo's administration has created Anambra State Health Facility Monitoring and Accreditation Agency to control health services coming from private hospitals with a view to eliminating quackery and ensuring that the lives of the people are safe.
Drug revolving fund is all about making drugs available at the right time and at a cheaper rate. And we did pilot in 3 general hospitals, and we expanded to 6 now. Now we're going to expand even to primary health care center as soon as we finish our employment of pharmacists before ending of this month. Now, what it means is this: issue of drugs out of stock will be, it may not totally remain, but it will be drastically controlled because we are working on it. That is the essential medications, especially in prevention of maternal and infant mortality.
In the area of drug control, Dr. Obidike explained that the ministry has put in place drug quality insurance laboratory at Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University Teaching Hospital, Amak, Awka, that must satisfy drugs worthy of consumption before they are sold in private pharmacies to safeguard the health of the people. Dr. Obidike assured that the issue of epileptic power supply in general hospitals and primary health centers will soon be a thing of the past as the state government is partnering with UNICEF to tackle it.
Some of our primary health cares, they have solar, but the solar had issues. So what we try to do now, we are sending 4 persons on training that will now come and be permanent to our engineers on repair of those solar. So anytime it has issue, it goes to fix it. Then in addition, UNICEF, as I'm talking to you now, have a lot of solars they have brought after in partnership with the state government. So we're going to have new solars installed inside some of those permanent healthcare areas. Then in terms of human resource for help, I mentioned it there. We are getting people recruited, and it's a process that will continue, because what we want to be doing is that as soon as somebody is leaving the system, probably it will be something that will be a continuous something. The governor, if you read the manifesto of the governor on human resource for help, our main agenda there is to attract, retain, and train.
In his remarks, the chairman of Anambra State House of Assembly Committee on Health, Dr. Kata Umoduago, lauded the project of Soludo administration in the health sector, but urged Dr. Obidike to match his words with action by giving the expected result at the end of 2020 fiscal year. Dr. Umoduago assured that Anambra State House of Assembly will enact a law to compel all hospitals in the state to have drugs readily available in the interest of the state, even as he stressed the need for adequate funding of the health sector in the interest of the state.
The Deputy Chief of Staff and Chief Protocol to Governor Soludo, Mr. Chinedu Nwoye, has advised that APGA members should be more focused on issue-based campaign rather than propaganda as the party markets their candidates ahead of the 2023 general elections. Mr. Nwoye gave the advice in Awka while delivering a keynote address on the occasion of inauguration of Ferdinand Dozie-Nwankwo Vanguard's Central Working Committee executive members. Correspondent Valentine Mbadua has the details.
Mr. Nwoye further harped on the need for APGA members, especially those who market candidates, to be disciplined and integrity conscious as they carry the image of the party and whomever they are representing at the grassroots. He noted that their behavior plays a key role in determining how people will accept APGA and her candidate, reminding them the need to be more committed as building the party and Anambra State is a collective responsibility.
My market is some of us went to him. We had an interview with him. I know to him when we so if you want to market onion dosi to the people of Central, I can if I'm going to super onion dosi. As you wanna find out kageme now, but if you so you need to know.
In their separate remarks, the convener, Ferdinand Dozie-Nwankwo Vanguard, Dr. Chido Koye, and the Central Coordinator, Chief Ochijemo Delem, who thanked the party for conducting a free, fair, and transparent primary election, noted that the idea of the Vanguard is to drive the message of APGA and her candidate for Anambra Central senatorial seat down to grassroots to ensure the party victory come next year.
I were a central. We were a Chubu, Asadambala. You were a coordinator who were central. Our coordinators. All coordinators who are
On his part, the member representing Anocha, Njikoka, and Dunukofe Federal Constituency, and the APGA candidate for Anambra Central Senatorial District, Honorable Dozie-Nwankwo, who maintained that he has the experience to represent the zone, promised to work with the Anambra State Governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, to bring the best development to Anambra if elected, while noting that good leadership and governance must be achieved collectively. Honorable Dozie-Nwankwo urged the people to criticize those in leadership constructively for improved service delivery.
Southeast, if any men are starting, they will die in time. And then now he consign. We can't sleep. He can't even go around as a public officer. And I told you, so apart from prayer, we need to work and support our governor on our own silently on issue of insecurity. He's putting it together. Telling the federal government that 6 Anambra states, nobody is a better Igbo man. We are all involved in a fight against the unknown. And Anambra will succeed.
The special advisor to Governor Soludo on Youth Empowerment Program, Dr. Nelson Amenua, and a stakeholder of the party, Dr. Jonas Nwokoye, who were especially recognized by the group for their contributions towards a greater Anambra State, enjoined the people to ensure they register and get their permanent voters card to be qualified in choosing the best leaders that will deliver the dividends of democracy to the people. Special award of recognition was given also to Mr. Chinedu Nwoye, Chief Chigozie Awudesi, Dr. Nelson Menua, among others, as letter of appointment were handed to the Central Coordinator and team members, as well as the Ferdinand Dozie-Nwankwo Vanguard local government coordinators to climax the event. In Awka, Valentine Mbadua reporting for ABS News.
A Faculty of Physical Sciences of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University has organized a public lecture on the need for reinvention of the leading position of Anambra State in Nigerian automotive industry, with a call for synergy among government, academia and industry as a way of achieving the feat. The July 2022 edition of the lecture program, which was the second of its kind in the faculty, had its topic as towards reinventing the leading position of Anambra State in Nigerian automotive industry. Task and targets for indigenous scientists was held at the university's Senate Chamber Uli in Ihiala local government area. Correspondent Emmanuel Okonkwo has the details of the story.
The convener of the lecture and the acting dean, Faculty of Physical Sciences of the institution, Professor Kingsley Nwozo, said the faculty and the entire institution is poised to aligning with the giant development strides of the present government of Professor Chukwuma Soludo, especially in the aspects of encouraging indigenous manufacturers and products, and pointed out that industries, government and academia must combine efforts towards reclaiming the position of the state as the best in Nigeria automotive industry.
We are into research, we are into studies. We've taken our time to look at that trend, and we come to see that we need to re-engage the society. We need to interrogate the economic system. We need to recharge the industry, and we need to build a viral workforce for the university to match up what we are proposing.
Delivering a lecture on the topic, Optimizing Your Status as a Prospective Science Graduate in Nigeria, the Managing Director of Global Sky Industries Limited, Ogidi, Comrade Oliver Ikweto, who reminded students that Nigeria government has few jobs for thousands of students that graduate each year, emphasized on the need for them to join their academic works with skills and to utilize every available opportunity to improve their knowledge in any field of endeavor in order to be employers of labor on graduation and not job seekers. Citing that Innocent Chukwuma, an indigenous manufacturer of vehicles, has over the years assisted students and young graduates of physical sciences in learning the practical aspects of their courses through his Giara Academy, Comrade Ikweto urged school authorities and government to revitalize the practical section of education so as to enable the students measure up with their counterparts across the globe.
Bosch has a contract with Innocent Vehicle Manufacturing Company with the aim of training the Nigerian youth in southeastern region on automobile manufacturing and maintenance. There you'll be trained on how to use a sophisticated diagnostic machines for auto diagnosis. So I wish most of you who may want to build interest in automotive industry to join Innocent Giara Academy.
The lecture reviewer and a one-time managing director of Ajokute Steel Company Limited, Professor Philip Atamo, adjudged the lecture as awesome and prompt in a time like this when there is a continuous increase in the number of unemployed Nigerian graduates.
We have the stuff, we have the intelligence, we have the makeup, we have the will among the students, but we lack the will in the country. And that is a problem. Today we hear the Chinese now make their own engines, they make their own planes, they make their own satellites from those things they learned from us.
In a presentation on achievements of Nuta Boats Racing Team, an automotive practical section under the university's Faculty of Physical Sciences, a member of the team, Mr. Michael Ekwozo, listed the needs of the team and called for assistance from both government and private individuals to enable them achieve their targets in automotive world. From Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University, Uli Campus, I am Emmanuel Okonkwo, reporting for ABS News.
The Women and Social Welfare Commissioner, Mrs. Ife Obinabo, has issued a warning to sexual predators that sexual assaults and gender-based violence will no longer be tolerated in the state. She issued the warning during a press conference in her office in Awka. Correspondent Chidimma Ikanyong reports.
Obinabo noted that upon assumption of office as the Anambra State Commissioner for Women and Social Welfare, her ministry has rescued 8 rape victims in the state. This she was able to accomplish with the help of other government and non-government partners and agencies in the state, such as National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTE, Violence Against Persons Prohibition Implementation Law Committee, VAP, Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption, ROLAC, among others. Disclosing some of the plans of the ministry, Mrs. Obinabo warned parents to desist from aiding and abetting crimes, but rather give their children good parental upbringing, regardless of the child's gender.
We're not talking of any other thing. It's basically gender-based violence we're talking about here. So that whenever you see where a child is being abused, or husband and wife, please let us know so that we know how to help them.
Honorable Obinabo also urged parents, especially mothers, to be agents of change by grooming their male children properly in order to avoid having children that constitute nuisance in the society. She further stated that whenever any offender is caught and after investigation found guilty, such offender must face the consequences of his crime. Mrs. Obinabo assured that any complaint brought to her notice must receive attention, even as she encouraged them to champion the If You See Something, Say Something campaign currently going on in the state. She released an emergency call line 0906 5906 059 for everyone to get involved in making Anambra a livable and prosperous homeland.
We've been hearing and witnessing boys, men, raping our girls and our children, not just girls, children. It's alarming the way it is happening now. Mothers are agents of change. Mothers, I decided that my ministry will be using them as agents of change, because when we have a good mother in any family, that family will be fine, will be fixed. The children from that family, by the grace of God, will be a little bit sensible.
In Awka, Chidimma Ikanyong reporting for ABS News.
And moving on, for reinstating the deposed President General, Ifite Dunu community in Dunu Kofia local government area of the state has paid thank you visit to Governor Chukwuma Soludo at the government house Awka for reinstating their deposed Presidential General. Correspondent Joseph Ibocha reports.
Leading the delegation, the traditional ruler of the community, Igwe Dr. Emeka Ilono, who said the governor's action is justice to Ifite Dunu and hope of the common man, recalled how the President General of the community, Mr. Uchenna Nwoye, was illegally removed from office by forces bent on plunging the community into crisis, adding that those who opposed the brigandage were silenced with police intimidation, with some still languishing in police custody. He accused the former President General of the community, Mr. Samuel Nweke, of not rendering account of his stewardship to the community and being a willing tool for those trying to plunge the community into avoidable crisis.
Now for the past 6.5 years, after a few months, what you are going careful, can I just say pop? I tell him, but other government now, I am not there by you know. You may if a government now, government also better. When you just see if Melanie, wherefore, name me, where wish you are on your elect. I
Contributing, the chairman of Nzenozo Ifite Dunu Society and chairman of Nigerian Union of Pensioners, Dr. Anthony Ugozo, Chief Innocent Nweke and Mrs. Patricia Ufaro, on behalf of Umuadi Ifitedunu, thanked Governor Soludo for restoring peace in the community, urging him to also look into illegal detention of other members of the community. Receiving the delegation on behalf of the State Commissioner for Local Government Affairs, a staff of the ministry, Mr. Henry Nwasike, who assured that Governor Soludo, being a man of rule of law and due process, is determined to enthrone peace in all communities in the state, promised that government will look into other issues raised by members of the community with a view to bringing lasting peace in Ifitedunu community.
So many communities now they involved. Yes. I actually a situation of 40 years you wake ego simba emenanka nyanwa actually ne udi ha anya ocho ime ihe obuna kwa koto ihe obuna dị mma ama n'obodo maka ama milizu ezo malụ nke atasa onwe ụfọdụ wee bịa n'aghịghọ mana nyanwa ejigwola anya na uche oji wee chọọ ịbịa n'ọlụ neba anya n'okwu a.
When ABS contacted Mr. Nweke over allegations leveled against him, the one-time President General of Ifitedunu, who highlighted developmental projects he executed during his tenure, said Igwe Iluno's grouse with him was for saying no to the business of diverting funds meant for community development. He called on the governor to take special interest in the brewing crisis in the community as necessary consultations were not made before Nwoye's reinstatement, and equally ensure that justice is done to the victims of Ifitedunu community crisis.
Anamayo, our governor, Professor Chubu Masoludo, or what I live to do no say in Maka, Mudaka or Pade. They would just say, Mava up a Maka, Mande Bule, and Yamabo, even the Lucifer. I went I, Governor Soludo, Cotiano of money the Pasarif to do, Mudaka or Pade.
In Oka, Joseph Ebocha reporting for ABS News.
Moving on to our national stories now, the Nigerian Governors Forum has lamented that the subsidy on petroleum products, especially premium motor spirit petrol, has placed a huge financial burden on the states. The NGF, which is the umbrella body of the 36 governors of the Federation across party lines, made this known in a memo forwarded to the House of Representatives. The memo is in response to the call for memoranda by the House Ad Hoc Committee on the volume of fuel consumed daily in Nigeria, which is investigating the actual amount of PMS the country consumes daily. The memo, which was signed by the head Legislative Liaison Peace and Security NGF Fatima Husman Katsina for chairman of the forum, was titled Findings on the Volume of Fuel Consumed Daily in Nigeria, dated July 1, 2022, and addressed to the committee's chairman, Abdul Kadiri Abdullahi. The governors referred the House to a November 2021 report by its National Executive Council Ad Hoc Committee interfacing with the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation on the appropriate pricing of PMS in Nigeria, which was chaired by Governor of Kaduna State, Nasser El-Rufai, and had governors of Edo, Jigawa, Ebonyi, Akwa Ibom, and Ekiti, as well as the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Accountant General of the Federation, Group Managing Director of the NNPC, and the Permanent Secretary, MBNP. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has reinstated its commitment to punish offenders, especially operators that fail to comply with extant rules and regulations on the electricity industry without further delay. It observed that over the years, non-compliance with the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, others, codes, regulations, and standards of performance remains the bane of the industry. The Commission urged DISCOs to show more commitment to compliance with NEC regulation. According to the Commissions, the move to punish offenders has become inevitable given consumers' growing complaints of estimated billings, poor metering, wrong connections, and illegal disconnection, among others, that have denied them of enjoying regular power supply. And moving on to the foreign scene, India has reduced the gap between the second and third doses of the coronavirus vaccine to 6 months from 9 months. The decision was taken on the recommendation of the government expert committee. It is expected to expand coverage of the booster dose or precaution dose, as India calls it, in the country. India has administered 48 million booster doses so far, only about 5% of the eligible population. The country began the booster dose program in January for healthcare and frontline workers and those about 60 years with comorbidities. It later expanded the drive to all adults. A vaccine program for 15 to 18 years old began in January and for 12 to 14 years old in March. The country has administered over 1.98 billion doses since its vaccination drive began in January 2021. So far, India has reported around 43.5 million COVID cases, second only to the U.S., and around 524,600 deaths behind the U.S. and Brazil. And on sports news, former Super Eagles Falcons coach Thomas Denaby is optimistic the team can still win the 2022 Women's African Cup of Nations despite falling to the Banyana of South Africa in the opening Group C fixture. The 60-year-old, who led Sweden to finish third at the 2011 Women's World Cup in Germany, won the 2018 African Women's Cup of Nations in Ghana and later steered the nation to the Women's World Cup knockout stage for the first time in 20 years in France 2019. The Randy Waldrum-led side started the defense of their Women's African Cup of Nations WAFCON crown in defeat. 2 goals in just 2 minutes from Jemina Sibusenwe and Hilda Magia gave the Banyana a nice cushion. And that's it on the news this morning. But remember that you can follow news and programs on ABS from any part of the world by liking our Facebook page at ABS Radio Television. Subscribe to our YouTube page at ABS Television. Okay. Follow us on Instagram at ABS Radio TV. Log on to our website at www.absradiotv.com. And just before we go this morning, a quick look at our major stories. State government has commenced drugs revolving fund in general hospitals. Governor Soludo's chief protocol, Chinedu, has made case for issue-based campaign ahead of 2023 elections. Nigeria Governors Forum has lamented over rising subsidy on petroleum products. And a foreign team were brought to you that India ready to expand COVID vaccine booster dose as it has reduced gap to 6 months. Well, here is a special message again. Governor Chukwuma Soludo has come for a total turnaround maintenance of the Anambra State economy and promotion of core Igbo values. Let's give him maximum support for the task ahead. And that's the size of our package this morning. Many thanks for joining the bulletin. I'm Ebere Ugonna. Good morning. Anambra continues shortly. Please stay with us.